Okay, we are going to talk about how to set up or change our Spectra cable here that's coming in for the lock unlock, the elbow lock unlock on the motion arm. Tools required, things that I have here. I have a small Phillips head screwdriver. I have my roll of Spectra cable from TRS. I have a lighter just to burn any of those frayed edges off, and a pair of scissors. The first thing I'm going to do is come in here and I'm going to loosen these screws here on the actual manual lock. Okay. And I'll just back those out. You do want to be careful when you're removing this unlock assembly. There are 2 screws in there. And there are also some O-rings that come on the post side of those screws. So I'm just going to go ahead and set that aside for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and remove my old Spectra cable. Then I'm going to cut a piece. I like to do about a little almost double what I think I'll need, because once I get this all together and get it on the user, if you're too short, you're going to have to restart again. I'll go ahead and cut that Spectra cord. Okay. If you look on the motion arm, on the lock unlock assembly, you see this little wheel here, right? That's the lock mechanism. With the motion arm, with this lock assembly, the cable will only exit one way. So the cable is actually going to only exit one way, so it doesn't matter if it's a left or a right. The cable is going to exit on, as I'm looking at the elbow, it's going to exit on the right side of the elbow, and it's going to wrap around this lock assembly and then come up on the left side. Again, that's as I'm looking at the elbow. Just going to tie a quick overhand knot here. So I got my knot. And again, I'm going to trim that. I'm simply going to push that through the hole of that lock assembly. And I'll pull that tight. Okay. Again, that's going to wrap around underneath, just as so. So that will always be your line of pull. Again, that's with a left or right-sided prosthesis. Next thing I like to do is I like to take that cord, and before I screw anything in, I like to kind of insert it through the hole. If you look at this, you see, again, the hole's only going to exit on one side of that lock assembly. Okay. And so what I like to do here is I like to come through that left side of the elbow. I like to come right through this opening here, just to give me that line of pull. It makes it a little bit easier to feed through that hole. And as you see, as I'm wrapping this, I just want to make sure it wraps around just that one side. And I usually use, you can use a dental pick. I'm going to use just a small flathead here, just to make sure that that cable sits in there and it's not caught up in that assembly piece at all. Okay, so it's nice and free floating in there. Now I'm ready to go ahead and insert my screws. And again, these are just a small Phillips. And again, making sure that those O-rings are on the post side of that screw. Okay, everything looks good. And again, the last thing I'll do is I just want to test that. So I'm going to give it a directional pull. You see that locked the elbow. I go ahead and give it another pull, and my elbow is unlocked. Okay, next we're just going to go ahead and simply attach our Spectra cord onto our hanger here, so we can connect everything into the harnessing system so that users are able to lock, unlock. So I'm just going to come in here, I'm just going to come through and tie a double half hitch knot. And I'll simply just trim off that excess. And I'll just clean it up simply with any kind of flame that you may have. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please contact us at Phil Hour Motion Control.